Good evening from Jeddah. Welcome back to a rapid venue which is hosting Formula One for the 4th time tonight. And this will be another Saturday night fight under the floodlights as we continue Formula One in 2024. In 5 minutes' time, we welcome a new name to the Formula One grid for the first time since 1972. A driver is about to make their debut with Ferrari. Oliver Behrman's late call-up is one of so many stories at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. 50 laps will be our total on the board when the 5 red lights go out around the largest number of corners that a circuit has all season long. 27 for the drivers to negotiate. And here are the tyres, the soft, the medium and the hard. And you can see the gap in terms of time between those compounds. Medium 0.4 of a second away from the soft, and the drivers will be trying to elongate the stints for as long as possible. Here's the grid then, with Logan Sargent next to Zhou Guanyu. Both drivers compromised their qualifying with clipping the wall in practice. Zhou Guanyu far heavier though. Then it's Ocon, the lead Alpine, on the grid for the second race in a row. They're still struggling down at Alpine. Nico Hülkenberg had an issue with the car after he made Q2. Valtteri Bottas is 16th on the grid. Kevin Magnussen started in 13th last year. Daniel Ricciardo, the second RB on the grid, racing here for the first time since 2022. Alexander Albon is in 12th, that's his best start here. And Ferrari's 97th Formula One driver is called Oliver Behrman. He takes the lights for the first time, making his debut in Formula One. Then it's Lance Stroll in 10th, Yuki Tsunoda the lead RB on the grid. Lewis Hamilton is in 8th position as George Russell is the lead Mercedes in this field at the lights for the 4th Grand Prix in a row. It's Lando Norris in 6th, out-qualified by Oscar Piastri for the second year in a row here. Fernando Alonso was 0.5 of a second away from the front row, but lines up P4. Our winner last year was Sergio Perez, and then Charles Leclerc is on the front row of the grid for the 7th Grand Prix in a row. Guess who at the front? Max Verstappen with his first ever pole position at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. This is going to be a really entertaining start to things in the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes, joined for this 50-lap Grand Prix by former Renault Formula One driver Jolyon Palmer.
Very excited for this one. It's always action, isn't it, in Jeddah? Really fast street circuit, barriers lining some very high-speed corners, big curbs as well. Reliability can be a factor. We've had a safety car in all 3 iterations of the Grand Prix we've had here. We've had red flags as well. We've had so much drama, and I'm looking forward to see if anyone can match or even get closer to the Red Bulls, particularly Verstappen out front. And I'm really interested to see what this guy does. Ollie Behrman from 11th on the grid. Can he keep his nose clean? Can he score some points on debut? How many Grand Prix starts has he done? I mean, literally practice starts, 1 or 2. And here he is sitting in the mid-pack of an F1 field. The intensity for him is going to be through the roof right now.
Also joining us in commentary, a man who absolutely loves this date of the year. It's a special one for David Coulthard, who won the Australian Grand Prix on 2 occasions on this day back in 1997 and 2003. Happy memories, DC.
It is indeed, and I'm delighted to see it was broadcast in colour. It seems such a long time ago. But yeah, look, the years have rolled by, but the challenge ahead for these drivers remains exactly the same. You know, Formula One has always represented the best teams and drivers coming together and competing out on track. And what a track we have here. High speed, unforgiving, absolutely fantastic.
It really is. The grid has cleared. These are the stirring moments. We are ready for the gantry to illuminate. The green light will appear. It is nearly time. It's 8 o'clock local time in Saudi's second city. We're ready for the second Grand Prix of the year. And there is A field of Formula One cars heading onto this formation lap, but understandable focus on Oliver Bearman, who is the first driver in the field to be on the soft compounded tyre. That will give him, Jolyon, a better launch off the line.
Again, a sensible decision from Ferrari. They've got to treat him as the rookie he is. It's going to be so tough for him in that mid-pack. The soft tyre, as you say, will give him more grip. But there are your possible strategies. We're expecting a one-stop. Everyone else apart from Bottas on the medium tyre, aiming for about lap 22. Bearman and Bottas on the softs will have more grip off the line, and then they'll probably have a slightly difficult second phase of the first stint. But he's got to try and at least hold station in that Ferrari at the start. Ferrari doing the sensible thing.
18 years of age, Ferrari's youngest ever Formula One driver, the man from Chelmsford in the United Kingdom, ready to take the start light, put in there by team principal Fred Vasseur. DC, cast your mind back for us. What is the mindset for a driver making their debut in Formula One like Bearman is about to?
Well, I've always maintained the benefit of youth is you don't know what you don't know. So I won't say he'll be feeling a pressure. There'll certainly be a sort of overload of information, and they'd grown up through all the various formulas of racing, and every championship counted. But of course the media attention is draining, all of the other sort of operational systems of the car, so much more involved. And he's never done a real live management of tyres Grand Prix. Now he'll be hoping it's a very straightforward one-stop in one respect, just so he can focus on himself. But to actually break into a big opportunity of points, he'll actually be hoping for a safety car just at the right moment for him to dive into the pits.
He's oozed so much confidence through this weekend, I was going to say, but yesterday, literally his first day in the car. He jumped in, he's been attacking from the word go, was disappointed not to make Q3 yesterday, was 300ths away from Lewis Hamilton and making the top 10 in qualifying. But he hasn't looked like he's at all overawed by this experience. This is something else now, lining up in the mid-pack of a Formula One race, especially at this circuit, but so far he's done a terrific job.
We are expecting it to be a one-stop strategy. The majority of the field on the medium tyre. Only Bearman on debut. There is his father nervously looking on. And Bottas in 16th place have gone for the red-walled soft rubber, which will give them a greater launch off the line. But we'll see them come into the pits earlier. It's a slow pace on this formation lap. The cars taking their time as Pierre Gasly of Alpine reports that he's got a gearbox problem before he's even taken his place on the grid.
Well, 20 finishes last time out. Joe didn't take part in qualifying, didn't get a flying lap in qualifying, and now Gasly from the back, compounding Alpine's worries. Is he going to peel straight into the pits then? He's actually he's stuck in gear. Is he further back round, we think?
So Gasly is trundling round at the moment. Everyone looking on nervously. That is Zach Brown, the CEO of McLaren Racing, and he has his cars 5th and 6th with Piastri ahead of Norris, certain to provide fireworks on the opening lap. This is Pierre Gasly.
So he is back in first gear and he's going to take the race start. Big gap to Esteban Ocon, but full burnouts. He's back into race start mode. Problem averted, it seems, for Alpine.
The track temperature is 31 degrees, the air temperature is 25. We are lining the cars up into position. Here we go then, for the second chapter. The second race of the season begins when the 5 red lights go out. The Saudi Grand Prix is underway, and it's a good launch off the line for both Red Bulls. Charles Leclerc is under threat now for second place. Verstappen leads. Perez will get his nose ahead. Perez will get second place. Charles Leclerc's got the grippy line. Has he got the room to fight back as they all make their way through the first corners of the first lap? It's Verstappen, but Charles Leclerc fights back into second position. He went aggressive and he maintains P2. That's Bearman off the road as he begins life in Formula One, slightly on the defensive. It's Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez, Alonso, Piastri and Norris, the top 6.
Well managed from Leclerc in those opening corners. Perez looked like he had got the job done, but Leclerc swept back around the outside of turn 2, which he can do because it gives him the inside for 4, and he made it stick. The rest of it looks fairly unchanged further back, but I'm pretty sure Lando Norris jumped the start.
Yeah, Bearman there trying to go up the inside. Sorry, Alex, that was great, instinctive stuff. Didn't manage to convert it, but didn't you just love the fact he saw a gap and he stuck his nose in there?
The racing driver instinct kicking into gear. We'll have a look Gasly's being told that he has to come into the pits immediately. He looks like he'll be the first retirement of the entire season. They all finished the first race of the year. So Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez, Alonso and Piastri make the top 5 unchanged, but Behrman looked to the inside of 13. He's all over the back of Yuki Tsunoda, trying to make the pass on the Japanese driver in that scarlet Ferrari as he has joined this team's illustrious history, and Tsunoda feels the need to go defensive. That's the difference between medium tyres and soft tyres, an RB and a Ferrari, and Behrman is starting his Formula One career on the front foot, but he's got to remember to stay to the right side of the line as around the outside goes Oscar Piastri on Fernando Alonso to take 4th place, and they're fighting all the way by as Behrman had to hobble all over the curb to keep his front wing.
Well, I tell you what, he gets 11 out of 10 for bravery. He's not treating this like his first Grand Prix.
Dangling a nose in though on the inside of turn 1. I thought that was going to end in tears and a damaged front wing for him. Just about managed to scramble over the apex curve, and now he's under pressure from the Haas behind. Straight into the cut and thrust of the action, isn't he?
DRS is now enabled. Max Verstappen has built a gap of over a second out front. We're looking at a really interesting start to a Formula One career for Oliver Behrman, in for Carlos Sainz, who had appendicitis and had to have surgery as a result. The Ferrari driver Carlos Sainz was on the podium in the opening Grand Prix of the season.
Yeah, as this action unfolds, though, it was great to see Carlos Jr. in the paddock. Not only just had the operation, a little bit lighter, minus his appendix, but showing his face.
For Behrman, if you're going to be in the midfield of Formula One, that's tough. If you're going to be sandwiched between 2 drivers, let it not be Tsunoda and Magnussen, I would suggest, in the opening stages of a race. 2 of the more aggressive drivers in the field, and they have not made it easy for Ollie Behrman. Still down in 11th place.
Not much between the 2 drivers out front. Verstappen and Leclerc sharing the front row for the 5th race in a row, and they were trading times all the way round. It's just over a second across the line. What about that move from Oscar Piastri to take 4th place?
It was good, and Alonso dropping back early on then, as we expected he might do. Good qualifying pace last week, but struggled down to 9th place at the end, and now Norris is closing in on Fernando Alonso as well. But I said it before, I'm pretty sure Lando, he definitely jumped before the lights went out. We get another chance to look at it here.
You're looking for the second orange car on the grid, and that looks like a jump start. I think you're right, Jolien. And then further on, we move into the second phase of the start. Perez had a great opportunity here to take 2nd place, David.
He did indeed, and you'd think he did all the hard work, but just when it came to sort of closing that space down, Charles Leclerc wasn't intimidated. And this is when it comes down to knowing your competitors. If that was Max Verstappen alongside Charles Leclerc, Max would have just run the car a little bit wider, making it absolutely clear that there was no space for Charles. And there you go, George Russell acknowledging that he agrees with you. He thinks it's a jump start.
It is. We just saw it there on ball with George. Lando actually stops the car again before the lights go out, but then he's starting from in front of his grid box. So it's going to be a penalty. This is going to be the telling shot.
It's a proximity thing, though. It's not, the start to stop. It's, we had that when they first introduced this, and there were a bunch of people getting jump starts. It's to do with the distance and whether it picks up on the sensor.
But you can't start from in front of that box, and Lando I think he was actually moving as the lights went out. He's got it all wrong, and I think he's got a bit trigger happy with the clutch.
Here we go with Perez. This is the battle for 2nd place. He's diving to the inside, and Sergio Perez finds his way by with the first opportunity that he had in the Grand Prix. Looked like he was going to take 2nd place on lap number 1. Lap number 4, he's got 2.1 seconds between him and his teammate in the lead of the race.
Red Bull's 1-2 then, and now Leclerc's got to try and stick with Perez and claw himself clear of these 2, Piastri and Alonso, and cement that 3rd position for now, because Red Bull in this early stage, they just look a little bit too strong.
Fastest lap of the race going to Max Verstappen, Dave.
Yeah, and important for Perez, when you get a replay of this DRS, he's going to suddenly start shooting up to the back of that Ferrari that doesn't have the benefit. Charles tries to defend a little bit, and in fact it actually sounds like Checo was kind of backing out of it, as if he thought, well, I'm not really going to have the opportunity, but Charles had already decided, yeah, he's just too quick for me right now. And it's important for Checo, though, to continue to show, I know it's only race 2, but he's got to continue to show Red Bull that he's feisty and he's able to be, let's say, number 1 minus or number 2 plus, whatever you want to call it.
Well, there is a fight going on for that second Red Bull seat, and it will be fascinating to see who ends up at that team. Fastest first sector of the Grand Prix so far for Verstappen, trying to elongate that advantage. Here's Behrman.
And you're doing well, Ollie, you're doing well. We are faster, the cars in front.
Getting the encouragement there. One Ferrari in third place, the other one trying to break into the points. Alonso has not been dropped by the McLaren of Piastri.
Yeah, lap time wise, yeah, just confirming there, he's only 3 tenths slower than Leclerc. So managing his race now, he's settled down, and we can take our hearts out of our mouths because he was definitely quite feisty in those opening laps.
There is his dad, David, and Carlos Sainz Sr. watching the race together. Strange how things play out. If you're unfamiliar with the name Oliver Behrman, he's a 4-time Formula 2 winner in his rookie season last year, and he actually took pole position for the F2 round that's happening here as well. He had to withdraw from F2. You can't do F2 and F1, and he is delighted to make his debut tonight. It's half a second away from Yuki Tsunoda.
Stuck in a little bit of a DRS train for now behind 9th place Lance Stroll, but Tsunoda was on the cusp of that 1 second behind Stroll, and as soon as Yuki loses the DRS, you get 3 stabs of it around this circuit. This is one of them, and if Behrman can then start to close in, you can see Tsunoda now 1.049 behind Stroll. It's going to be nip and tuck whether Yuki gets the DRS, and if he doesn't, that'll be Behrman's chance to move forward.
There's a hurry-up going on behind in the battle for the last step on the podium position. Charles Leclerc in third, being caught by Piastri, who is being hurried along by this man, Fernando Alonso, who is very happy with the 1-lap pace, the qualifying pace of his green Aston Martin. But when you add fuel to that car, the team don't believe they have the same performance. This is a track that he knows well. This is a track where he led at 1 year ago, and he's keeping pace with the Australian driver starting his 2nd season in Formula 1.
The DRS gain around this circuit is huge. About 1.2 seconds you can gain, and you can see Tsunoda still right with Lance Stroll, who did not escape the clutches of the DRS behind in the on the last lap. 3 consecutive DRS zones. I mean, you just haul right up to the back of the car in front. That's why Leclerc's just actually lost DRS to Perez. But Alonso's able to comfortably stay with Oscar Piastri at the moment, 4th and 5th, and keep Leclerc honest.
The difficulty for Behrman on those soft tyres, they were obviously hoping to get the big launch, is that not only is he running in disturbed air with the DRS train, as you've discussed, then, you know, the car's going to be sliding around a little bit more. So there's no question that providing he's got those tires switched on, then he shouldn't green. But if the pace has been a little bit too slow initially, he might go into the graining phase on this tyre and have to find himself pitting quite early.
Oliver Behrman is not too far away from Yuki Tsunoda. Both drivers driving for their future in Formula 1. Tsunoda trying to extend his time with the Red Bull setup. This is into turn 22. Look at how crash off the road and into the wall. A heavy one at turn 23. Lance Stroll into the barriers and out of the race.
Well, this will be either virtual or full, depending on how they feel they can recover that car. But did something fail? Because there was definitely a trail of smoke as he made his way to that tyre barrier.
Yeah, fully locked up, and the tyre marks tell a story. Into the Tech Pro. Most important thing is the Canadian driver has radioed to say he's all right, but that is going to be the race neutralised in a few moments' time. You cannot leave that car at that part of the racetrack, Jolien.
So we're going to get our safety car once again. The 100% chance is going to come into effect for 2024 as well. It's going to bunch the whole pack up when it is declared, which it surely will be, as Max is coming round now in the middle sector.
And there is the safety car deployed.
It's the same corner that Lance tapped the inside wall on his 2nd flying lap of the weekend on the inside, and I wonder if he's done the same, broken the steering arm and then just hammered on the brakes to stop the car before it's hit the Tech Pro.
David, he got away with it in practice. If he's done it again, this time, not so lucky. He's our 2nd retirement from the Grand Prix.
Yeah, let's wait and see whether that is in fact the case, as we see Behrman's giving up on those soft tyres. And right, here's the replay. Let's just look for any sign of contact. Yeah, hit that inside wall. Well called, Julian. That track rod was broken. And easy to criticise, difficult to do, but he isn't a rookie.
Yeah, and the other driver to hit the barrier there this weekend was Logan Sargent. starting his second season. Out of the race then, Lance Stroll, who retired from this Grand Prix with an exhaust problem last year, brings out the safety car on lap number 7. They will have to inspect that barrier as well to see whether it's safe. The last time we had a car hit there in the race was Mick Schumacher. We ended up with a red flag back in 2021. Safety car is out. Can Red Bull double stack?
They're going to try it. Verstappen in. Perez has been called in behind as well. Leclerc's coming in, so everyone is coming into the pits. This is going to be so busy. They're going to stick on a hard set of tyres and maybe try and go to the end from here. Really long-ranging one-stopper.
Crucially gets out before the Ferrari, and in this situation, there'll be no question of unsafe release.
Yeah, and Perez flung into the path of Fernando Alonso, as it is incredibly frantic stuff down there in the pit lane. Charles Leclerc's stop, 5.3 seconds is not what you needed, and a slow one for Fernando Alonso.
They had to hold Leclerc because of the stream of cars coming in. Perez and Red Bull were very aggressive getting out right into the path of Alonso. Might have just been about okay, but you can still see the bedlam in the pits. Behrman pitting now, Ricciardo coming out, and there's Tsunoda still ahead.
Lando Norris did not come into the pits. That's going to be tight stuff with Oliver Behrman and Haas, who would quite like to put him in the car, I think, next year. We'll see how he goes on debut. And out ahead of Magnussen he comes after that first pit stop in Formula One. So Norris continued round, and Hamilton also failed to come in to pit. Norris up 5 places from where he started, Hamilton up 5 places, and Verstappen in the middle of them. You race to the safety car line, even behind the safety car. If 2 cars come out, one on the racetrack, one coming out of the pits, it's who gets to the safety car line first.
I can only imagine that Hamilton, in not pitting, was either a bit concerned about, as Julian pointed out there's just so many cars coming in that you would be held to be a long stop, or they're hoping for another safety car in relatively short order, because he's going to find himself with a tyre disadvantage and unquestionably having to pit.
Well, the thing that Norris and Hamilton both had was they would have had to double stack. Same with Hülkenberg, who didn't pit, and Zhou. So those teams would have had to double stack their drivers, and they would have lost out because they were running really close behind their teammate. So they've stayed out. They're going to find they've got to find 20 seconds for a pit stop before the end of the race, but their medium tyres should have plenty of life left to try and find some pace still.
Hit the wall.
Okay, can you bring it back, Lance?
No, I'm in the wall.
I copy that.
I guess the engineer's not watching the television screen or the data. The data should give him a clear indication. 0 car speed.
That is so strange. Shirley, you were telling me about a similar experience you had a few years ago in Formula One.
Yeah, I had it before with Julian, who's working with us this weekend, but the engineers are so busy looking at the squiggly lines of data, they're not looking at what's happened, and your car's in a few pieces somewhere. And yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating enough when you crash, let alone when your engineer said, "Can you bring it back?" No.
Yeah, in
I had a
bits.
crash with a Red Bull. So close.
So Alonso appealing to the umpire.
It's very close to the Mercedes pit crew as well there, because everyone was out. It's so tight in the pit lane, and Fernando, it looked like he did have to back off for Perez joining the fast lane again.
So Lando Norris has stayed out there, the driver that we believe jumped the start earlier on. And
What's the history on that, Alex, in terms of how long it takes the stewards to be able to, that's a data, excuse me, a data-driven thing. So why would it be taking them so long?
yeah, surprising one, DC, because normally you see that noted immediately, investigated pretty soon after, and that has not been the case.
It almost looks like he's going to get away with it now. We're on lap 9. We're a fifth of the way through the race nearly. He's now leading the Grand Prix. He's got to make a pit stop, but that should be an automatic trigger that's being investigated as soon as you see it. We all saw it. So George Russell saw it. He was starting right next to him, and somehow Norris is still going. I'm sure he had forward motion as the lights went out. I'm certain that he started the Grand Prix when he did let go of the clutch for real, that he was ahead of his grid box, and we know Fernando got a penalty this time last year for not starting in his grid box, let alone starting in front of it. It's not a legal start from Norris. It didn't actually work in his favour, because sometimes you get flustered when you do that, and you then hit the brakes and you're distracted, but there's no way it's a legitimate start.
This is the stop for Charles Leclerc, coming in originally from third in the order, and that slow stop of 5 seconds. He has rejoined behind Perez, and he was and ahead of Piastri, which was the state of play when we originally had the order before Lance Stroll clipped the wall, became the second retirement of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and the safety car is ending on this lap. The pace will be dictated by Lando Norris.
Okay, Lando, so ultimately the target remains as target +5, but we still kind of need to do a stint 1 approach, but probably not immediately. We need to let the tyres come in a bit.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to let the tyres come in. Do you not think it's better just to push as hard as I can? I'm going to have to push to stay ahead of you behind.
So Lando Norris getting the instruction from Will Joseph, his race engineer, and immediately responding with, that is all well and good theoretically, but I've got Max Verstappen directly behind me, and I'm about to take us back to green flag racing conditions around one of the fastest circuits in Formula One. And he hasn't gone at the same part of the circuit that we saw earlier in F2. He's waiting for it. He's looking in the left mirror because he knows he's got the entire pack behind him in Formula One. Here we go again. It is very tight between Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc for fourth. Lando Norris leads, then it's Max Verstappen, and that is very tight as Charles Leclerc stays ahead and fends off the Australian driver. Alonso trying to profit from it in the green Aston Martin. Has he got momentum to try and retake the place that he lost from Piastri earlier in the race? The answer's no, and they're close, but there's no change for position.
Yeah, and back further down the field, I think Behrman got a pass on Tsunoda on the brakes. So again, showing great instinctive racing skill. There he will be just coming into a shot there. So he's now moving up the field as well.
And that's Zhou ahead of him now, who hasn't pitted. That'll put him up into the top 10, Ollie Behrman. Good defence from Charles Leclerc. That's an important move because Piastri's pitted. That is for the net podium, Leclerc and Piastri. And Oscar was ahead coming into the corner, but Leclerc got his elbows out, centred in deep on the brakes and made it stick.
Finally poised at the moment. We've got drivers slightly out of position from where we started. Lando Norris holding the lead. Max Verstappen will try and sift past as quickly as possible, but he finds himself in second place, finds himself staring at the back of a car. He's trying to win his 9th consecutive Grand Prix today, and he's trying to do that for his second time in his Formula One career. You see Norris, Verstappen, then Hamilton in the silver Mercedes, then Perez, who is trying to break clear of Charles Leclerc. They bring the tyre temperatures back in. Fastest middle sector of the race so far for Lewis Hamilton. And there is the papaya McLaren of Lando Norris, who started in 6th, who hasn't made the stop that Verstappen and Perez and Leclerc and his teammates have made. And now DRS is enabled. That's a lock-up for Oliver Behrman, who's gone from the soft tyre now to the hard.
Norris is doing really well out front on the used medium tyre. 8 laps of push. Now a few under safety car, and we're going again. Hamilton likewise able to stick with Verstappen for now, but those mediums should drop away in the next laps.
Alexander Albon is now in 15th. He was trying to improve past the Haas of Kevin Magnussen, and this was going to let in Esteban Ocon. Side by side, Albon goes. That is a tap. That is damage, and Ocon profited.
What is he doing?
Yeah, I think I've got to agree with that. You know, Magnussen can't expect him to, especially knowing where the wall is, you can't expect him to sort of evaporate into thin air. I think he should have left him more space.
Unnecessary from K-Mag as well, who was having a really decent race so far. Probably picked up a bit of floor damage. This is the Behrman move. Little dummy shimmy to the inside. Go on then.
I like that. I like that expression, the Behrman move.
Yeah, he is looking very, very comfortable. We're 24 minutes into the Grand Prix. Race control have noted Lando Norris starting in the incorrect location, effectively a jump start, because he moved before the lights and he moved out of his grid slot. There is a investigation going on between Fernando Alonso and Perez. Perez being investigated for an unsafe release. Perez trying to clear Lewis Hamilton, yet to make his first pit stop in the Grand Prix.
It could be a 5 seconds for Perez, and it should be a 5 seconds, I think, for Norris as well. For Norris, he'll have to take it in the pit stop, which will compound issues that he's going to face, although his pace is still pretty solid right now. And Perez will probably take that to the end of the race, and we'll hope there's not another safety car to bunch the pack before then, if these hard tyres will go that long.
So here we go, down to turn 13, the long hairpin that sends you back parallel with the Red Sea here in Saudi Arabia. That's McLaren leading, and Lando Norris did lead a lot of laps back in the US Grand Prix in Austin, Texas last year, ahead of Max Verstappen, who eventually got him with a few laps to go to take away that maiden victory that Lando Norris dreams of. He's going to have the penalty once they review, and race control have corrected their message to, they're investigating him for a jump start. There's a bit of debris at certain parts of the track in sector 1 and the middle part of the lap. Here's Max Verstappen within the DRS zone. He's got it 3 times around this lap, and he's looking.
Oh, he didn't give me enough space, so I would say you just speak to the stewards about it.
Yeah, actually he got squeezed into the wall.
Albon looking for a penalty for one of the drivers currently running ahead of him. Max Verstappen in the unusual position of being in second place. Not for long. Max Verstappen moves past and takes the lead from Lando Norris. He's back in the lead of the race, and he's not the only Red Bull on the move. Perez improves to third.
That's an important move for Perez, because he had the Ferrari just behind him and Piastri there as well. So now he's got the Mercedes of Hamilton as a buffer to himself and Charles Leclerc, and Verstappen cruising through to the lead. Norris, no need to fight with him. He knows that he's in a different race.
Yeah, and I wonder whether Norris will have been informed by the team. He'll certainly know what happened inside his cockpit at the start.
Magnussen speaking to the team as well, saying that he believes he had floor damage. It got punchy there as we go on board with Charles Leclerc, trying to clear the Mercedes, trying to keep pace with the Red Bull as he looks for his first podium of the season.
Yeah, it just wasn't necessary for Magnussen to run that risk of having the contact. In certain circuits, of course, you know you can sort of give someone a squeeze, like into the second chicane in Monza, for instance. We see that quite often, where the driver then has a choice to move and get a wheel on the grass. But when there's a concrete wall on the inside, I can only imagine that he expected Albon to really brake early.
And Albon had actually given him the space from the corner before as well. He could have done the same thing, but gave him space. Magnussen had the inside line. Albon was never going to go around the outside there, so he just misjudged it, and he's got the floor damage. And it's a shame, because 13th position for Magnussen. Zhou's got a pit, Hulkenberg's got a pit, so has Hamilton and Norris, but they're probably going to clear him. But he's right on the cusp of points, and he's maybe going to get a 5-second penalty for it, and has floor damage that he's got to take through the rest of the race.
One Ferrari on the attack, second Ferrari on the attack. Oliver Behrman into turn number 1, moving up in the left-hand side of your picture and claiming his place in the points. That would be his aim. The strangest statistic is coming Behrman's way. If he can stay in that place, he would have more points in Formula 1 this season than Formula 2, because he didn't score in the opening round of the year back in Bahrain. If he can stay in 10th or higher, and that was a tidy way to get past Zhou Guanyu in the Sauber.
Yeah, great performance so far, which is actually going to be 7th by the time the cars that need to stop for tyres.
Struggling on mediums from the start.
So Piastri being informed that Hamilton has not been at 1 with the car, and a message from race control that we were not expecting. Lando Norris at the start, no further action. It looked an absolutely slam dunk jump start, but the stewards have had a look and he won't get a penalty. This is George Russell making his way by Hulkenberg. He's up to 8th place.
I want to see that again. What have we missed then? He was rolling and ahead of his grid box.
This was Behrman. This was Behrman. You saw it on the left-hand side by the timing tower. That's a replay of how he made a pass. And confirmation, no further action for a jump start. Charles Leclerc trying to go past Lewis Hamilton, outside line to the inside line. Got to be brave to make that work. Is the room? There is. And that's a great angle to show you that getting to the apex first has worked for the lead Ferrari driver in the race. He's 1.7 seconds away from Sergio Perez. Last week, his race was blighted by a problem with the brakes. We're back to full attack. Charles Leclerc seems far happier 1 week on. He's been on the podium here in the past, had a great battle with Max Verstappen back in 2022. DC, can you believe that's not a jump start?
Well, the only thing, as I can say, is my interpretation, and totally agree with, normally, go beyond your box, then you're out of position. but there is that proximity sensor, which they may be interpreting that. And the only other thing I can imagine is, are they saying, well, did he gain an advantage?
Plan B, because, I mean, they are in another league.
Copy, we're looking.
Well, change of strategy request there from Fernando, but guys, just looking back at the start, he obviously started, stopped, and then went, so there was no gaining of advantage. So are the stewards just using that now as a new reference?
We do have a penalty. It doesn't apply to Lando Norris. It does apply to Sergio Perez. Race control saying, via the stewards, that was an unsafe release into the path of Fernando Alonso, and the driver who is third in the race is going to have 5 seconds added on if he doesn't stop again. If he makes another stop, we're not expecting another stop, but if he makes another stop, he would have 5 seconds to wait before they could work on the car. Confirmation, Sergio Perez gets a 5-second penalty for an unsafe release.
Yeah, well, there was no question that he came out in front of the Aston, but I was under the impression that there was a slightly different view taken on when you have the sort of double stacking pit stops under safety cars.
This is the sound of the Mercedes-powered McLaren of Oscar Piastri, working the wheel, trying to get past. That is Will Joseph, sorry, that's Tom Stallard. Will Joseph's Lando Norris's engineer. That's Tom Stallard, former silver medalist with the British Olympic rowing team. And he is the one who will be talking to the young Australian all the way through the race as he tries to clear Lewis Hamilton. Kevin Magnussen has been given a 10-second time penalty. Julian Palmer, where do you want to start first?
Oh my word! What? 10 seconds for Magnussen.
They're killing us at high speed. They're killing us at high speed.
Copy, Lewis. GPS agrees.
There's some odd decisions. I don't know if I agree with 10 seconds. Albon's still in the race. He hasn't had to pit for repairs. They're still running together. It's a misjudgment from Magnussen, but only a light tap at the wall and damage for both cars. That's 10 seconds feels a bit much. And the Norris one, I still don't get it. You know, if you jump the start, you jump the start.
This is visor cam for Oscar Piastri. We've seen plenty of overtaking. We've got Max Verstappen in the lead by 3.6 seconds. We've still got Norris to make his first stop in the Grand Prix. Same applies to Hamilton, who's going defensive. Can Piastri get there? Hamilton didn't fancy giving up the corner. Piastri jumps over the road. He knows what he has to do now. You can't overtake off the racetrack, and it will be game on for 5th position later on in the lap.
Yeah, tried that sneaky little round the outside, but he's going to have to go up a bit early in the morning if he's going to pull a fast one and lose Hamilton. But Hamilton clearly not happy with the balance of that car, especially in the higher speed corners. And it can only be a matter of time. He's on that older rubber, Piastri on the fresh set of hard tyres. How long into this Grand Prix can Hamilton go?
This is helping Charles Leclerc escape as well, break the DRS train between Leclerc and Piastri. And Alonso dropping back behind as well, so they're just widening the gaps with Hamilton acting as the blocker for now with this defensive move. It was good.
So Hamilton was always going to throw the elbow, and Piastri's steering inputs there showed that he expected it. This is Sergio Perez now trying to clear Lando Norris. Lando Norris, who moved before the lights were extinguished, and in the rules, it certainly seems to say that if you move before the lights, you're going to get a penalty. But he got away with one, and now he's trying to hang on to 2nd place in the race.
It's not like there's onboard cameras on every car now to have a look, but we'll await an explanation from the stewards.
Easy move for Sergio Perez to move up to 2nd position. That is nicely done for Perez, who is 5 seconds off the back of his teammate. That was a tidy pass, and here's a chance for another one. Is it going to be a late lunge for Behrman, who is erring on the side of caution? And the 18-year-old, Ferrari's youngest ever Formula One driver, the first driver in Formula One to make their debut with Ferrari since 1972.
Once Behrman clears Hülkenberg, which he may well do on this lap with DRS coming for the second half and all the high-speed opportunities, once he clears him, he's got 3 seconds to George Russell. And now will then be a straight fight on the same strategy now, a Ferrari against a Mercedes. And on the last lap, he was a few tenths quicker than Russell, who's stuck in behind Fernando Alonso, but not within DRS range of the Aston Martin. Behrman has really brought himself into contention with some of the guys that started well inside the top 10.
sometimes when you make your debut with less than an hour of practice, like he did yesterday, DC, you maybe think that it'll be qualifying where he's able to show something and the race might be more of a struggle, not at lap 18 of 50.
Yeah, but this is what I find so fantastic, actually, that in this moment now, this isn't a test day, this isn't a sort of feel his way in, have time to really think and maybe overthink what's happening. This is just instinctive race car driving. And he understands the main operating systems of the car, and we've already seen how brave he is in wheel-to-wheel action. This is a tough Grand Prix, though. It'll be interesting to just see whether the fitness starts to tell later in the race. But so far, I'd say incredibly good.
And Behrman has now cleared Hulkenberg. So, they're battling for it. We'll get a replay of it. We'll be able to show you it as soon as possible. And they're passing and repassing in the battle for 9th and 10th in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, our second one of 24 in 2024, and Piastri will be getting frustrated now. He's having to try and stay behind a Mercedes longer than he would have wanted to.
This Mercedes has got decent straight line speed. We saw Leclerc have to really work for his pass around the outside of Hamilton. Crucially managed to do enough on the brakes that Lewis couldn't wash the Ferrari wide at turn 1 like he did with Oscar Piastri. Here is Hulkenberg having a good check for Ollie Behrman on the left-hand side.
Where is he? Where is he? Is he going to appear? There you go. He had the run. And they continue to battle. So Behrman got a good run, couldn't keep it for turn 1.
I think Behrman must have got him into the final corner, and then Hulkenberg had the DRS back into turn 1. So Behrman's got to wait another lap to try and clear the Haas and chase after the Mercedes.
Yeah, we saw Perez the lap before actually backed out of DRS early to make sure that he didn't pass Norris before that final DRS activation onto the start-finish straight. So is that the sort of only criticism we could levy at this stage? He didn't read that activation point quite as well as he could have?
Well, he'll get another go soon enough. He's 0.4 of a second away, which is about the distance that Oscar Piastri is from Lewis Hamilton, still not able to make the move.
But look at the straight line speed for Hamilton there. That's DRS for Piastri and a slipstream, and he's not able to attack.
Behrman, take 2, tries to make himself as large as possible in the mirrors of the Haas. Hulkenberg is an experienced performer, though. He's not going to be frightened off the road. He's biding his time, but he will know that the longer you run in the dirty air of the car in front, you damage those tyres. Tyres he will be hoping to take all the way to the end of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, but Hulkenberg, 20 laps in on the medium, he's, with questions over Haas in the past, was its inability to get length and durability out of the tyres, but it looks like that's been answered. They've got it now.
He's so slow.
20 laps into his Formula One career, casting aspersions on other drivers, but as you point out, DC, it is 19 laps on the medium tyre, and it did seem for Haas after the pre-season test where they just focused on tyre life. They were only interested in tyre life. It's cost them so often in the last few years in Formula One. If they've turned a corner, it's huge for the team because every point counts at the bottom end of the Constructors' Championship, and they were 10th last year, bottom of the Constructors' Championship. Okay, take 3 for Oliver Behrman, building up to 200 miles per hour. And does he dive to the inside once again? No, he bides his time. The DRS detection point is approaching. He's going to have a good opportunity now to build up through the gears to try and make his way by. The Haas is in the way, but only for the moment. That's the pass he's been looking for. And the man on debut in Formula One is up to 9th.
Yep, nice, straightforward DRS pass, learned from the previous attempt. And he should be able to now work his way towards Russell. Gap is, as you can see, just over 5.5 seconds.
It's cost him a good couple of seconds just waiting 2 laps then behind Hulkenberg in the Haas, who's not pitted. Those guys going quicker ahead. Piastri's still frustrated behind Lewis Hamilton, and this was an easy one in the end. You waste so many laps of huffing and puffing, you pass and repass, and then finally it's like, how did I not just do that the first time? It was so easy for him in the end. Hulkenberg, tyres going away and just worn out there, trying to defend against a much quicker Ferrari.
Okay, so out front for the lead of the race, Verstappen controlling things. It's a 6.4 second gap he's got. Red Bull started the season with a 1-2. They're 1 and 2 as we approach half distance. Norris still has to switch to another compound of tyre. The same applies for Lewis Hamilton, who is hanging on at the moment, but we've just seen a move here for Oliver Bearman on a tyre that has been taken all the way through the Grand Prix. Now it's the turn of Oscar Piastri, trying to clear 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton down into the braking zone. Good defensive driving from Hamilton, keeps the McLaren behind, and Piastri can't even get into late lunge territory. There's no safe move on at the moment. As you see the graphic at the top of your picture, Kevin Magnussen has been given a 10-second time penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage.
Oh, we've not seen that one. But again, it appears a really harsh penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. Did he overtake 2 cars through the runoff area or something? We'll wait and see a replay, but his race is in tatters, isn't it? Running in 12th, looking at the back of the top 10, but 20 seconds worth of penalties for putting Albon in the wall, not great. Leaving the track and getting an advantage, I guess it's going to be something quite severe for a 10-second penalty.
Yeah, but if it was that severe, I would have thought it'd be picked up on cameras.
Yes.
Does seem harsh, but let's wait and see. A few confusing decisions being made.
Yeah, who's he offended this weekend?
Yeah, not the most popular. You can understand, given the time of the race, given the proximity of the other cars, you can maybe understand the 10-second one for putting Albon in the wall and the rest of the pack behind. It's a shame, though, for Kevin Magnussen, who scored points here this time last year, having started in 13th. That's exactly where he started this race from, ahead of his teammate, who had a problem with the car yesterday, an electrical issue that left him stranded in Q2, but Hülkenberg still to make his stop. Same applies to Joe, the drivers in 10th and 11th in the second Grand Prix of the season.
So Hamilton's doing Norris a bit of a favour here. They were the 2 that stayed out. They were 1st and 3rd when the safety car came in. Now they're 3rd and 5th, with the both of them losing a couple of places. But Hamilton is nearly a second slower than Norris. The longer they stay running like this, they're both looking to go long and hope for another safety car, which will give them a much reduced pit stop loss and bring them back in with fresh tyres into the fray. But at this rate, Hamilton's backing up Piastri, Alonso and Russell not catching either. And if they're going to extend a long time, Piastri's got to get a move on here, because they're going to fall towards a Norris pit window in a number of laps' time. But remember, Norris will pit and put on fresh tyres, and then he'll be really quick.
Yeah, Hamilton's going to tumble down if and when he makes his stop. So any unhappiness he has with the balance of that car is going to be compounded with where he finds himself running.
There's sort of no point in him pitting now, though. Whilst he's running okay, he's going to fall right to the back of the field. He's going to have to wait for a safety car at this stage to have some sort of intervention to help him get back to the points.
So Piastri is going to have another go here. He has faced this again. It's the same power unit in the back of the Mercedes as the McLaren. Long-term deal for McLaren. And Hamilton this time knows he's under a bit more threat. He's trying to break the toe, punching the hole in the air as they build up to 195 miles per hour. And again, that final part of the straight, the lock-up for Piastri, he's just not able to force a way by.
The McLaren is so meek in a straight line. The Mercedes is very good in their lower downforce configuration they've got here, but that McLaren's gaining nothing with DRS and a slipstream.
Yeah, I spoke to Zach Brown actually on the grid as we're getting a replay. Magnussen, well, a bit messy over the curve, but did he really gain the advantage there? I think he'd got the majority of the pass done.
Oh, you are kidding me, aren't you? 10 seconds for that?
That's harsh. That's harsh. I think we'd all claim that the majority of the pass was done. Yes, if there was a wall there, he would have been in it. But that doesn't seem like a call for him to give the position back would seem the right call.
Yeah, get out of town. 10 seconds, and maybe a 5 for not giving the place back. He did complete the move, all 4 wheels off the track. 10 seconds is not having a good day with the stewards, that's for sure.
Oh, that is a curious one. I think we could file that one under. Max Verstappen's just done the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. It's a 1:32.6 for the driver, who is 6.6 seconds in the lead, and Lando Norris continuing to occupy third place. Might not be the case for too much longer. Charles Leclerc very much within DRS. Lando Norris did expect this in terms of straight line speed. He was talking about it afterwards. He said, I don't know what we're going to be able to do on the straights. They did believe, though, at the Woking-based team, that when they got DRS, it wouldn't actually be a problem.
Oscar, we see Hamilton moving under braking there. That was almost an accident. We're reporting it.
Oh, probably a 10-second penalty.
I think that, look, I get it. I get the whole lobbying, but I don't like Pinocchio.
No, that's getting close to get on with it territory, isn't it?
It's a bit ridiculous, that, isn't it? They're running out of ideas, McLaren. So the pit wall are trying to claim to get Hamilton to have a 5-second penalty, I guess, for that.
Well, Magnussen has been penalised for what was a bold move to the inside. Yuki Tsunoda is down to one wing mirror. He's lost it on the right-hand side, as you can see, as he tries to force his way by. Magnussen has made his stop. Tsunoda has made his stop. Magnussen is not going to be delighted with that penalty. He had 10 seconds for contact with Alexander Albon, 10 seconds for overtaking off the road. And whether you're a new viewer or an old viewer to Formula One, I think there'll be plenty of you watching at home slightly confused about jump start rules, slightly confused about what constitutes a 5-second penalty or a 10-second penalty. Let's try and show you an overtake now. Charles Leclerc putting the pressure on Lando Norris, who's been on these tyres since the start of the race, and that McLaren slow in a straight line. Well, that has never been Ferrari's problem in Formula One, and you can see the driver from Monaco in the background, comfortable, putting the pressure on and trying to get by. But if you don't get by now, you've got to wait quite a few corners before your next DRS zone.
Update for you. So looking to extend could become the Germany situation.
Okay, let me push now. Just starting to get a little bit trickier, but it's under control.
It's getting tight in the midfield pack. Good run for Yuki Tsunoda. Last of the late breakers for Kevin Magnussen. Holds on to 12th position on track. Then it's the Japanese driver. Then it's Esteban Ocon, who continues to fight up against Alex Albon, who's got his teammate directly behind.
Great racing action between all these guys fighting it out, all for 12th position. Magnussen not an easy guy to pass. I don't know if he's been told he's got 20 seconds worth of penalty. I don't think I'd be telling him over the radio at this stage. And he's still fighting on as if he's going to be staring at the points when those two ahead of him are going to be pitting, which they will have to do at some point. Norris has just got to keep going, and the reason they're fighting Norris and Hamilton so hard to keep the Ferrari and the McLaren behind, because if there's a late safety car, if there's a safety car in another 10 laps, everyone might pit again, and then they're in an actual 3rd and 6th place, 5th place.
Leclerc moving out of the slipstream and improving up to 3rd position. The Red Bulls, they are down the road. So Charles Leclerc's aim, I think he knew at the start of the day, was going to be for 3rd position, and he's just taken it, getting past Lando Norris, who still needs to make his stop. Efficient move, and the Ferrari will just hope that we're in the early stages of the championship, and maybe the unreliability might crop up. That's the only way he's going to get involved, with 2nd place or better in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix on the evidence of the first 27 laps.
Yeah, I think they're absolutely right that they're now hanging out there hoping for another safety car, taking these tyres as long as they possibly can.
Hamilton's pace is actually really good now. He's stopped defending from Piastri. He hasn't had to for the last couple of laps. And he's done his personal best lap of the race so far on lap 27 of 50 on his starting medium tyres. So the Mercedes very kind on its tyres right now. He's back within 5 seconds of Norris, with Lando fighting with Leclerc for the last few laps. They're both showing that they've got good durability on this tyre, but they have to make a pit stop. And right now, if Hamilton pitted, he's going to come out in 10th place. Hülkenberg will then pit, and that'll be 9th for Lewis Hamilton. The longer they go at this pace, though, they're giving themselves a better shot later on, and the chance of a safety car to luck in.
Yeah, the wall's very close around here. This has, last year, for example, was the 2nd fastest race of the year, behind only Monza and the Temple of Speed. And we've had the intervention at the moment. Again, DRS for Piastri, but no chance to make the pass in the battle for 5th position. And further back in the order, it's very tight between Magnussen, Tsunoda, Ocon, Albon and Sargent. They are glued together. A reminder for you that Magnussen has plenty of time penalties to come. That's Dorian Pan, who won the first race and the second race of the F1 Academy Championship, which is launching its season here 7 times this year. It will race on the Grand Prix weekend, and she was the dominant driver of round number 1, as slightly deep into turn 1 when Esteban Ocon, and he is under serious pressure now, but if you make a move at this part of the racetrack, as Magnussen showed, it's got to be really slam dunk stuff. You've got to be a long way ahead into the corner because there's no room for error.
There's a point up for grabs for someone in this race, with Stroll crashing out. All the 10-point scorers from last week might have been there, but they're not. There's 9 left in. We see Albon so close to the back of the Alpine, but it's very difficult to make a pass here.
Oh, thinks about it. Oh, he's getting braver and braver and braver, thinking about using the 12 degrees of banking to try and get ahead. That was nearly mighty stuff from Alexander Albon, trying to score a point in Jeddah for the first time in his Formula 1 career today.
All of this is giving Sargent, his teammate, a great opportunity to actually be in this battle. Normally there's always a bit of air between where Albon runs on the racetrack and Sargent, but he's got a great opportunity now to observe his teammate.
So at the moment, Hülkenberg is 10th, must pit. 11th is Zhou, must pit. Magnussen is 12th with 20 seconds worth of penalties. So Tsunoda, who's looking to the outside here, is quids in for 10th place at the moment. But look at all these cars, all on the same strategy, trying to pick up the pieces.
And the chance of a safety car with these 4 brawling in the way that they are, well, it goes up when they go side by side. Tsunoda's been looking for that pass lap after lap. Magnussen doesn't want to give it up. Brilliant racing from the pair of them. Magnussen knows that he's not going to score a point in the race. That is defiance, and it's cost Yuki Tsunoda, because Esteban Ocon finally gives Alpine something to smile about. They might only be battling for 1 point, but you'd think it was for the lead of the race. Aggressive stuff.
Yeah, on one hand, admire the sort of feisty, and that's what you get from Kevin all the time. He never gives it up, and why should he in some respects? Just hesitating with my thoughts here, because sometimes it's very much a case of, well, unless he's got a compliant driver alongside him, it's going to end up in contact. And is that really a good long-term strategy for any team to have a driver that's prepared to risk that?
Well, I think he's thinking that he's in net 10th, which he sort of is, apart from the penalties. He throws it on the inside. I think it's all right, you know, from Magnussen. The outside shot will be a little bit clearer. It's so aggressive. That is what he does. He is elbows out the whole time.
What a dangerous driving.
He threw it in the inside of turn 2, held it on the outside of 1. He did need Yuki to not turn into an apex of turn 2. It's tough, but he still thinks he's fighting for a final point. He's putting everything on the line.
This is Go on, DC.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say, I don't think it's dangerous. I just think when, you know, as a long season goes, the risking car damage, because you've got to have a compliant driver who backs out of it. If he doesn't back out of it, you guys are having contact and going in the wall. And then you know, any developments, you know, taking a bigger picture as a Grand Prix driver, you know, it's all fine and well fighting over every single little piece of tarmac, but, you know, he needs that team to develop that car to give him a real chance to shine.
Absolutely brilliant, Kev. Keep at it.
There you go. And, well, Haas, that's just defiance. They know they've got the time penalties. Now is he going to try it again? Oh, my word, Alex Albon keeps threatening something audacious through turn number 13. He's got speed. He's got nothing to use it with at the moment. OK, Magnussen holds on to 12th on the road. Ocon trying to give Alpine a better result. They were miles off the back before. Tsunoda trying to recover. And Ocon has made a couple of places here through Magnussen being very aggressive. And Ocon's trying to get past the Haas now.
Naughty.
That's the running out of room on the exit of 13. Albon has already faced the wall on the right-hand side of his car. That was from Magnussen earlier on. Nearly had it again with Tsunoda. For context, Magnussen last year had 3 points all season. 3 10th place finishes. You're in a Haas. These guys were doom and gloom about their season. He's thinking he's in 10th place. I don't think he knows about the penalties. You have to drive, as this is a Grand Prix win for him at the moment, to take a point. In 22 races last year, he got 3 points. And in round 2, he thinks he's got a chance. It is absolutely on the limit of acceptability, but it means so much to Haas to get a point, and they might actually get it with Magnussen driving like this, with Hülkenberg up the road as well. So inadvertently, this defensive drive that he's having is massively helping out Nico Hülkenberg to pit and come out ahead at this stage.
I would like to know if I've got a penalty. So you're saying, you know, does Magnussen know he's got that 20-second of penalties? Would you not want your race engineer to tell you?
If you were the race engineer, would you want to tell him?
Question. At some point, we've just got to go for plan A, we think, and then drive back through those cars. Do you think it's going to be possible?
I mean, yes, but I think we box as late as you can.
So Norris is going to go long, and they're talking about when they're going to pit, and he knows he's got some overtaking to do. The longer he waits, the chance of safety car will bring him back into play. I do agree with you, DC. I think you'd always want to know the full picture from the cockpit. I guess the engineer's just standing there thinking, if I tell him it's 20 seconds, his race is done.
That is the look at the Danish driver. Scored a podium in his first ever Formula 1 Grand Prix. He's never been back there, but he's giving his team a chance here. Hülkenberg further down the road. And look, this is basically the rest of the field. All aboard the Kevin Magnussen train. From 12th all the way down, that's Valtteri Bottas in the green and black Kick Sauber at the back of the field. Last car running in the Grand Prix. 2 retirements. Stroll into the barriers early on, and Gasly had a problem on the formation lap, which took him out at the start of the race. We believe it was the gearbox.
Yeah, Bottas, their last runner on the car. I'm pretty sure as he passed the commentary box, I could hear him saying, "Wait for me." He wants to be part of that little battle.
You know, when you're in his position and you can see all the major fight happening in front, you just want to get involved in it, don't you? He must just be looking at everyone right together, looking to overtake in turn 13. Albon looking again. Is he going to go to the outside? You just want to get involved in it. It's the fun of racing.
So Max Verstappen, fastest lap of the race, and he is building that gap, 7.8 seconds. Sergio Perez was the lead Red Bull here last year. Verstappen started from 15th on the grid, made his way through, but Perez saw him off to win this Grand Prix from pole position. That's the only time that Perez has done it in his entire Formula 1 career.
So this drive from Magnussen is going to earn Haas a point at the moment, because Hülkenberg at the end of this lap should have a pit stop window to come in and clear his teammate. And so I think that's the other thing going on. They want Magnussen to think that this is absolute make or break for him, because would he be so fussed about, you know, getting involved in the cut and thrust of this if he has 20 seconds and he knows it? Then you don't risk so much. But driving like this so aggressively defensively, he is at the moment earning Hülkenberg that 10th spot, which is huge for the team.
Whoa, that's a send and a half for Alexander Albon. Patience ran out at turn number 1. It's only 14th, but it looked great on board. Yuki Tsunoda will not want to go backwards. The driver who started in 9th position on the grid is passed again. Albon looking for his first point at this circuit, up to 14th.
I knew it was a good pass when you gave him his full Alexander rather than Alex. Yep. Very impressive, and was looking that would he under-rotate, would he run wide? No, hits the apex.
Love a good lunge. Great stuff from Albon. He's so quick around this corner, turn 13, but it's difficult to do much with it. So in the end, you get frustrated and just think, right, gonna go for it up the inside. He came from quite a way back as well, didn't he? But bam, done.
Yeah,
lovely.
It was lovely indeed, and I know where I'll find you in the gym, Julian, if you like to do your lunges.
Tsunoda tried to come back, wasn't able to. That's Lando Norris up the road from Lewis Hamilton. Norris has been told he's going to have to pass some cars late on. Piastri's frustration will be building and building and building. Be able to give us a brilliant technical drawing of that troublesome rear end of the Mercedes. It's what the former World Championship winning team have been trying to cure last year into this. The team were more encouraged last time out in Bahrain, but they're still nowhere near their race-winning form as Hülkenberg comes into the pits. We talked of that pit window a few moments ago, and Hulkenberg is going to blend out onto the racetrack. 3 seconds. The driver who had an electrical failure in qualifying yesterday, given a gap by his teammate, and Haas might have engineered a chance to get Hulkenberg into the points. He hasn't managed that in a Grand Prix since Australia last year.
It's a masterclass from the team.
They're doing a mega job out there.
And Joe will have to pit from 10th as well. This is tight between Hamilton and Piastri. Behrman, by the way, is matching the pace of Russell Alonso. He is doing a mega job out there. He's quietly doing a really solid race for Ferrari.
We've had plenty of chapters of this battle time and time again. This is the best run for Oscar Piastri through the entire race, and Hamilton's defence comes to an end, or does it? Piastri locks up, takes the place, won't be able to overtake like that. He had the momentum, he had the overspeed, but he couldn't slow down the McLaren, and still they battle over 5th place.
It's remarkable. The DRS just doesn't seem to have any effect on that McLaren, and that's forced him into that situation to take the big dive and not able to get the car stopped and make the turn. This is just looking like a regular slipstream.
Heading to the first turn, and yeah, having to take evasive action under braking.
Looked like he had a huge opportunity, because for once he was slightly ahead coming into the braking zone, but when you've spent 20 laps stuck behind the Mercedes, you think, I've got to make this a done deal, and just over-egged it on the brakes. But it looks like Mercedes are getting ready to come in now anyway.
15 laps to go, we're ticking through it. Max Verstappen has the lead by 8 seconds. It looks like it's going to be a second Red Bull 1-2 of the season in the second race. We've seen plenty of overtaking all the way through the field, especially for that battle for the final point. And Lewis Hamilton, does he peel off to the left-hand side now of your picture? Come into the pits. Magnussen on the radio.
Nico 2 seconds ahead. That was fantastic. Well done. Excellent teamwork, Kev. Now why don't we just go until we put a softer?
That was Norris there.
There was Norris on the end of that radio. Yeah, sorry, I thought I was losing it, but that was Norris asking, can we put a soft on at the end of the
must have been shocked by that reply.
That's Kevin Magnussen's engineer on the radio. We have still yet to see Norris, Hamilton, Joe come in to make their stop. You have to use 2 tyre compounds in a Grand Prix. That's the rule.
And maybe we've done Magnussen a disservice to thinking that he didn't know. Maybe he was just doing all of that for the team and his teammate then, given Mark Slade's radio communication there. Thank you for allowing Nico to come in and make a pit stop and emerge still in that net 10th spot. So maybe they were across it, but with Magnussen's race ruined by time penalties, at least he can help out a team, and when Haas have solid performances they have here, they're still going to be, with 14 laps to go, staring at a point.
Yeah, just looking at the running order as is, it's a bit of an underwhelming race for the RB team. Tsunoda in 15, Ricciardo in 17.
Bottas has come in as well. Yeah, the RB team looked good in a bit of winter testing. Started in the top 10. Yuki Tsunoda making Q3 for only the 3rd time in 18 races. Hamilton's coming into the pits. Tsunoda is further down, but it's Piastri who is moving on by, and Piastri finally takes 5th place.
We are thinking of going soft to the end. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, mate.
Same communication we heard from Norris as well at McLaren, so they will pit shortly and cover off Hamilton and go on the attack, and that is where Lewis is going to emerge then in this big gap, and he's got Ollie Behrman in the Ferrari ahead to go and chase for 8th place, and that is it for the rest of the race now for Hamilton. Soft tyres, give it what you've got.
Bottas put the soft tyres on as well, so that's just a gamble from the driver running last on the road that there's going to be a safety car intervention when all others ahead are running on the hard. This is the sole remaining Aston Martin in the Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso, my word, that was tight.
Little kiss to the wall in turn 9, but all okay, all good.
Copy that, understood.
Yeah, it got his attention enough to want to share it with the team. But yeah, this little phase now for Hamilton his next contender, well, other than Behrman, of course, will be where Norris comes out, which will be behind him. But if the McLaren goes for a soft tyre as well, and we see the McLaren crew heading to the pit lane, and yeah, a set of softs are being prepared.
So they've got to cover off Hamilton now, because the Mercedes will be going very quickly, and he is going quickly on this outlap.
So this is a high-pressure pit stop for McLaren. Hit your marks. The team draw out that grid. You can see it's slow at the back. It's not ideal at all. 4.1 seconds is not what he needed.
They nearly gave themselves a 5-second penalty, didn't they, after all of that?
And here comes the Mercedes, heaping the pressure on. Sir Anthony Joshua watching on. Alpine not in the mix at the front like they have been in previous years. Norris, oh, it was close, but he does get out ahead. And it's Norris in 8th, Hamilton in 9th. And they are both going in chase of Oliver Behrman, who is, as it stands, going to finish 7th in his debut Grand Prix, but he's got 2 very quick customers behind on soft Pirelli rubber. Not the stop, though, that McLaren were looking for. Didn't cost them in the end.
Yeah, sticky ride. Came off okay, but it looks like they were struggling to seat it with the fresh wheel. A couple of tugs to get the old tyre off. So, well, they got away with it in the end, but it was a bit tight.
Very important that he came out in front of Hamilton, and with enough that there's 1.2 seconds between them. Hamilton is not immediately in DRS range of Norris as well. We know that McLaren is not quick in a straight line. They've both got to go and do a load of overtaking now, see where they can get to. But we've also seen Piastri, Norris's teammate, struggle to make the moves. Norris has got a much fresher set of tyres and will surely be able to charge up to the back of Behrman. Ferrari's quicker in a straight line.
Well, for that final points playing place, Joe can only be waiting and hoping that another safety car would give him an opportunity to secure that stop. But Hulkenberg's only 7 seconds behind.
This is getting very, very tight between Norris and Hamilton for so long in this race. Hamilton now with the fastest lap, which pays out a bonus point if he finishes in the top 10. For so much of this Grand Prix, it's been a McLaren trying to clear Lewis Hamilton. He's the one putting the pressure on at the moment. Mercedes do tend to have better race pace on the Grand Prix day than they have when it comes to qualifying. Hamilton trying to stay with the McLaren ahead.
Yeah, but at high speed corners there, not a chance. You can see Mick Schumacher shaking his head, confirming that.
Norris was on it through that first sector, even defending the middle of the road at the first corner. He's done the fastest first sector of the race by a good quarter of a second from what Hamilton had just done. So he realises the pressure was on, didn't do the fastest of outlaps. Hamilton roared up to the back of him, and he has to try and break away from that DRS zone again, which he's just about managed to do.
So this is Oliver Behrman, 18 years of age, looking to be the first British driver to score points on debut since Paul di Resta back in the 2011 Australian Grand Prix. That was for 10th place. The Ferrari driver currently in 7th, the first English driver to drive.
Hold on. We want Alonso, 13.1. Let's go for it.
That's impressive with the high speed.
So from nowhere, we heard Lewis Hamilton appear. And the team radio messaging firing in there. Sorry for talking over that. Either way, Hamilton admiring his old team and their first sector pace in the high-speed stuff.
Everyone's getting a bit of Norris radio today, aren't they? Coming through for Hamilton, who's back with Norris coming into the first corner, but this is where he'll struggle to follow once again through this first sector. The high-speed stuff is difficult to follow anyway, and this is where the McLaren is quick, so he'll just stretch out, and then they'll bunch up as Hamilton takes the slipstream and some DRS at the end of the lap, if he can get there.
So good battle with Norris and Hamilton. Very, very, very even, but Norris has been noted for weaving on the straight. So if you get that again, you're into black and white warning flag territory. If you get that again, you're into penalty territory.
Yeah, that was the first time. He was a little bit meandering across the road, wasn't he? Didn't know if he was going right or left, and it's disconcerting for the driver behind. Not entirely fair, but I think Lando will get away with it for that first instance there. It was sort of warning flag territory, and now he's managed to just bridge the gap once again to Hamilton. and they are catching Behrman, but only by 0.6 on the last lap. Behrman's going quickly still.
So Norris is still 13 seconds back. He's having a bit of a fight with Hamilton.
So we heard the first part of that radio message. Alonso responded with what you saw on your screen. I think Alonso will be elated if he's able to hang on to 5th place. That really would be maximising the performance of the Aston Martin. That's the good part of the sentence for Fernando Alonso. Bad part of the sentence is George Russell is 1.3 seconds away. That is why Lando Norris was warned about weaving.
Yeah, move to the inside, move back to the outside, looks in the mirrors, moves to the inside. It is quite a few movements. Not technically a good bit of driving, a fair bit of driving from Norris, but I do think he'll get away with that. In fact, he's been given the black and white flag, so that's what feels maybe appropriate for that, because Hamilton wasn't right with him. He was just trying to catch up, and there was enough distance maybe between the two. Alonso's had Russell behind him for a long time, 1.4 seconds. Do you remember last week? Alonso started well, was gobbled up by the McLarens, slipped down, was passed by Hamilton, and drifted away to an absent 9th. This is a much better weekend for Aston Martin. He's not miles away from Piastri still.
So Piastri on for a very good result in 4th place as it stands. Here is our race leader. And Max Verstappen looking to win 9 Grand Prix in a row for the 2nd time in his Formula One career. Before he did that last year, it had only been done on 2 occasions in the entire history of the Formula One World Championship. Ascari in the 50s, Sebastian Vettel back in 2013 to close out the year, and Verstappen just managing the gap. Perez having climbed 1 position from where he started the Grand Prix in 2nd place, and it's another dream day for Red Bull at the moment. Leclerc on for his first podium of the season. Black and white flag, if you are one of our newer viewers to Formula One, is a last warning. If you do it again, you will be penalised with 5 seconds.
Behrman's having a cracking debut drive, still matching the pace of Russell and Alonso ahead. He's 23 seconds down on Charles Leclerc, but given he started 11th and his teammates on the front row, not too shabby.
At this pace, will Norris catch us or not?
Yeah, we believe so in 4 laps.
I think that's an older message, because on the last lap, Norris was only 0.6 quicker than Ollie Behrman, and Behrman's picking up his pace as well. So not going to be in 4 laps. I think it might be a little bit longer, and then Norris has got to pass him as well in that McLaren that's not particularly quick. Oh, not again for Sauber.
Zhou Guanyu coming into the pits. They left him out there as long as possible. He had run the entire race on the medium tyre. When he went to the soft, it has all fallen apart. For the 2nd race in a row, Jolyon was referencing what happened last week to Bottas, and it's happened this week to the Chinese driver. This is the battle for 5th position. We've still got moves to be completed, or at least attempted, in the 2nd Grand Prix of the year. It's lap 43 of 50. Perez last time around took a healthy chunk of time out of Max Verstappen, but sure, Verstappen's just ticking boxes on the way to the end. We have sometimes heard, don't you remember Monza last year when he won 10 in a row, and he said, if the race had been a lap longer, I wouldn't have finished it. So just keep an eye on that gap as we walk towards the end. But it's the battle further down in the points that's keeping our attention. Russell really working to get into DRS.
We might have a chance to stay in front of both of them. Just focus fastest race till the end.
He does. He's picked up his pace, and Norris only 0.4 quicker on the last lap. Hamilton's still right there with Norris, so Norris got to look behind in the mirrors as well. Behrman's pace at the moment is good enough, I think, to just about stay clear of Norris at this rate.
Could have been a different story for Alexander Albon's race if he was able to stay ahead of Kevin Magnussen. Albon has just passed up to 12th position, but he's been in that train behind Magnussen since the restart. If he'd been able to clear the Haas, he might have been able to stay in the window for Hülkenberg and try and fight for his first point at this venue. This is George Russell and the visor cam. Slight correction coming out of the 27th and final corner. He goes over the line at this 3.8-mile racetrack, and he is making adjustments as he goes down to turn number 1.
1 second behind Fernando Alonso. That's what it looks like. Visor cam looking at the Aston Martin that he has been staring at since the safety car, pretty much, for George Russell. Changing the brake map slightly through the first sector. Here's the replay of Albon sweeping around Esteban Ocon. Straight line speed, not Alpine's friend at the moment.
No, they are looking for a recovery in the races to come with a new technical structure announced after the first race of the season. They've got ahead of engineering, they've got ahead of performance and aerodynamics, similar to what McLaren implemented at the start of last year. Revolution coming about after a poor start to the season where they've failed to make it out of Q1, and Albon getting past means that they're going to fail to score points in the opening 2 races of the season. We're on lap 45 of 50. Verstappen still 7.5 seconds ahead in the lead of the race as Norris. Then Hamilton continued to battle, but we've got the British drivers in a line here. We've got Russell, Behrman, Norris and Hamilton with the 7-time world champion in 9th.
4 of them all in a line, and Behrman still hanging on to 7th place and only 3/10 to Norris on the last lap. And I think Lando's having to think about the Mercedes behind as much as he is now about catching the Ferrari ahead, who is still just out of shot. Lando got to see him in the distance. If we pan right, we might see the Ferrari escaping. There it is, up, crossing the start-finish line for another lap. But Behrman, if he keeps this consistency, he's actually just done his best lap of the race. He's only a 10.5 slower than Norris. Absolutely cracking drive this from Ollie Behrman.
And Norris struggling a bit with tyres there. He's fighting with Hamilton as well. We can do it.
Great encouragement for the British driver, 18 years of age, looking for points in debut in Formula One. How much that would mean to him and his family. A driver that has climbed the ranks of motor racing and for a long time. Ever since he won the Formula 4 championships of Italy and Germany in the same season, he was touted as one who could get promoted to Formula 1. 3rd place in Formula 3 a couple of years ago, 4 times a race winner in Formula 2 in his rookie season. He'll be going back there now that Carlos Sainz has recovered, but he might be going back there as a Formula 1 point scorer with 7th place.
He's heading that way. He'll be feeling the distance of this Grand Prix, but there's nothing that keeps you focused like a Norris-Hamilton charge from behind. It feels a long time when you've never done a Grand Prix that's going to be heading towards 90 minutes long by the time we get to the checkered flag. A Formula 2 race, an hour. The car's quicker, the G-force acting on your body is that little bit more as well. Feels like a long time, but he's able to keep the consistency. 3/10 quicker than his teammate on the last lap as well. His race pace has been tremendous, Behrman.
Yes, Behrman, after qualifying yesterday, talking of the change in physicality from Formula 2 to Formula 1. Formula 2, all the cars are identical engines, identical chassis. Formula 1, each constructed by the teams. And Hamilton's got a good opportunity there, forcing a defensive move from Lando Norris, not on the ideal line, heading into turn 1, 2 and 3, and Hamilton's on the charge now.
Difficult to make a way through here into turn 4 though. Barely a break, just a little stab and turn it in. And Lewis fighting the car then as he turned in the left-hand side in the dirty air. Again, Norris moving slightly under braking, not quite weaving, which is what he got the black and white flag for, but late moves, which again, slightly frowned upon. He's feeling the heat from Hamilton behind.
Well, Behrman was told by his team boss, Fred Vasseur, yesterday, don't be a hero. Well, it is a drive of real note. When you get these opportunities, and it is a stroke of chance that's given Behrman this chance in Formula 1, you have to take them. He was frustrated to miss out on Q3 yesterday, but he has put himself in the shop window. He was already being touted for a promotion to Formula 1 before the season had even begun in Formula 2. But this is a real drive of assurance for the 3rd youngest driver in Formula 1 history at the start of their career. Only Max Verstappen and Lance Stroll started at a younger age than Oliver Behrman.
And George, we've seen wind speed picking up now, 15 kph headwind, turn 1.
Makes the DRS and the slipstream effect a little bit more when you're punching into a headwind. That's where they're at now. Behrman, they're getting closer. A few laps to go. Decelerates down a couple of gears for the first corner. There go Norris and Hamilton just behind. They're still fighting each other, but desperate to have one sniff of attacking Ollie Behrman and see if he can handle the pressure of a late race scrap as well, when his body will probably be feeling quite fatigued.
So Norris earlier on got away with moving before the lights went out. It was adjudged not to be a jump start, then was kept out, as was Hamilton, as McLaren and Mercedes declined to hit both cars at the same time, double stacking them, and they were left to recover towards the end on the softest compound available in the field. As we're working our way to the end of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. There's Hamilton's last Formula One win coming around this circuit. Then in 2022, it was Max Verstappen. Last year, it belonged to current second-place man Sergio Perez. And Verstappen looks like he's going to become the first repeat winner of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and lead home a Red Bull 1-2 as well. As we move back to the front of the field, and there is our race leader looking for another victory. Would be 56 in Formula One. If he's able to do so, it would be 9 in a row as well. And it's just incredibly impressive stuff from Verstappen, who is on for an 18th win from pole position in a row. He's just converting and converting and converting, and no one, not his teammate, not anyone else in the field, currently has an answer. He's picking his way through the traffic as he comes up against Esteban Ocon. And this, once upon a time, back in Brazil, did change the outcome of who led the Grand Prix. The blue flags on the LED boards for Esteban Ocon will surely inform him to pull from the racing line and let our leader go through. He's not too far away now. He's heading to the penultimate lap as Ocon does make way. And Verstappen getting past the driver who had to move past the McLaren of Lando Norris to take the lead, heading to his penultimate tour of the racetrack.
Red Bull still unassailable. Leclerc with his best lap of the race on the last lap is quite a lot quicker than Verstappen and Perez, but you sense that they're cruising. Look at all those lap cars. They were all in a manic fight a handful of laps ago, but now they're being lapped by the two Red Bulls. Decent drive from Perez, I think, today as well. Bahrain, he managed to get second, was happy, it was the maximum he could do, but he only just did it over Carlos Sainz, whereas this has been much more assured on a track he's got previous format. This is more like Sergio Perez. This is where Red Bull want him to be, shadowing his teammate, not on Max's level, but comfortably clear of the third place man who is here.
Hearing that Daniel Ricciardo has had a spin further back in the RB as we make our way towards the final lap of the race. It will be a Ferrari in third place once again. Carlos Sainz in Bahrain. It looks like it's going to be Charles Leclerc in Saudi Arabia, as he is 18 seconds away from the race lead of Max Verstappen. He continues on. Piastri on for a fine fourth place. This was Daniel Ricciardo running in 16th place. Round he goes.
Clouting an apex curve. Rear tyres that were probably on the limit already. He is having a weekend to forget, Daniel Ricciardo. He easily can forget that he's been in the race here. Same for Bottas further back. The two of them been running around at the back all Grand Prix, really. Zhou now behind them after that long pit stop, but Daniel Ricciardo overshadowed pretty majorly by Yuki Tsunoda this weekend. Yuki up into Q3, was fighting with Magnussen in the midfield scramble for a look at a point, but Daniel's never quite looked hooked up here.
Well, this is Lando Norris, who is putting the pressure on Oliver Behrman. Max Verstappen is on his final lap of the Grand Prix. Was that Norris heavily over the curb there, really trying to close down that gap, giving it everything in the battle for 7th place. The driver who was used to fighting on the podium earlier on. There is Oliver Behrman about to head on to his 50th lap of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
But at the end of the race, when maybe you're thinking fatigue, thinking concentration going, and your first ever Grand Prix in a Ferrari, he's just done his personal best lap of the Grand Prix. So is Charles Leclerc in third, and Behrman's 3/10 slower than Leclerc. We know how good Leclerc is. This is Ollie Behrman, who didn't even do a FP1 or an FP2. He missed 2 hours of running and only first got in this car 1 hour before qualifying. This guy is something special.
Oliver Behrman is having a dream debut, the third youngest Formula One driver to take the start lights. You are looking at the youngest, and what a career he is having, on his way to win number 56 in Formula One. Max Verstappen is going to win the opening 2 Grand Prix of the year, a 9th consecutive win. Max Verstappen, eat, sleep, win, repeat. Verstappen takes the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix to lead home a Red Bull 1-2. An outstanding result for the team. Once again, the Mexican fans celebrating in that grandstand. Verstappen wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix with another drive of distinction as Charles Leclerc comes home for his first podium finish of the season. And look at this moment for the 18-year-old from Chelmsford. He would have been dreaming of hanging on, of keeping behind him Lando Norris and 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. And it's points on debut for Oliver Bearman. Ferrari's youngest ever Formula One driver is a point scorer at the first attempt. And the last 50 laps have gone a very long way for securing his future. Remember the name? We're going to be hearing Oliver Bearman spoken time and time again as we hear from our winner.
Nice shot, mate. Well controlled.
Yeah, good race that. The tires were a little bit cold at the end, but I think we had good pace, managed the whole race well. So another fantastic weekend. Well done, everyone.
Well done, Max. That was absolutely clinical. So another 1.2 finish. Well done.
Yeah, exactly. Good result for the team again. Great job.
He is making the pinnacle of motor racing seem routine. It's anything but. You're millimetres from a glance into a barrier in the end of the race, as Lance Stroll showed us. And the two teammates coming back to the pits amid tumultuous times for the Red Bull organisation. The 1,600 people who work on that car have created something truly, truly special. Unsurprisingly, this man is driver of the day. He started the weekend in Formula 2. He now has more points in Formula 1 than his day job championship.
Ferrari have a superstar lineup for next year.
P7, awesome job, mate. I'm on
Make a good job, buddy. Congratulations.
Not bad, I think. Yeah, I would have liked to go a bit longer on that soft at the start because it felt good. Just yeah, difficult to overtake. But no, the car was mega today, so thank you. I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun out there.
And a professional debrief as well from Bearman. Fred Vasseur getting on the radio saying great job. They have a superstar lineup for next year. Hamilton and Leclerc. I think they've just uncovered another one. He's going to be on the grid full time, isn't he? A Hassie surely looming for Ollie Bearman.
Well, a lot of pressure. It's amazing how it turns from, wow, got a chance in Formula 1 to doesn't always come along. Doesn't always come along. There are some great drivers that never got an opportunity behind the wheel in the pinnacle of motor racing, but Bearman took his chance today. That will be great to hear him on the radio.
And you're the driver of the day out there. Good showing.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
The 68th driver in Formula 1 history to score points on debut. Well done to Oliver Bearman. As Max Verstappen extends his lead in the Formula 1 World Championship, he is used to this feeling. We are used to this feeling. He has done it again. 9 consecutive Grand Prix victories for the second time in his Formula 1 career. The all-time record is 10. He set it in Monza last year. He was defeated in Singapore, and he picked up where he left off.
We've run out of things to say about Red Bull and Max, haven't we? It's the same every week. They are faultless, doing a great job. Perez had a 5-second penalty as well, which actually, with Leclerc, got the fastest lap at the end. Didn't leave him miles away from the back of Perez after Checo had the 5-second penalty, the only blot on the Red Bull copybook today. But I'd say a really great day for Ferrari. Fastest lap for Leclerc. Not able to fight with Red Bull, but they are definitely clear of the rest of the pack. And when you can put a rookie in the car and pick up some points as well, they've extended their advantage over everyone else.
Verstappen congratulating his team, being congratulated by his team. And Charles Leclerc says, well done. Another podium finish for the man from Monaco, as Verstappen just takes a breather. takes off the hands device, the balaclava, the helmet, gets a glug of the water, keeping it all together, the earplugs that are molded. And he is ready down there. And we'll hear from the top three not too far away. But let's confirm the result then of the second Grand Prix of the year. Max Verstappen taking another victory. Sergio Perez making it a second consecutive Red Bull 1-2. Charles Leclerc with a comfortable podium in the end, and strong points for McLaren for Oscar Piastri, who upgrades his starting position to 4th at the flag. Fernando Alonso is going to be delighted with that 5th place. He beat the Mercedes of George Russell, and Russell, Behrman, Norris and Hamilton managed to make it 4 Brits in a row inside the top 10. Hulkenberg, the last point scorer, his first point since the Australian Grand Prix last year in race trim. Then it was Albon, Magnussen, Ocon, Tsunoda, Sargent, Ricciardo, Zhou Guanyu. Stroll hit the wall. Gasly was a retirement at the very start. David Coulthard is speaking to the top 3.
Charles, congratulations, your first podium of the year. It's only the second race, but after a great qualifying yesterday, the pace of the Red Bull's just too strong for you.
Yeah, we had quite a good pace because we have the fastest lap at the end. I got a bit helped by a DRS, but overall the feeling was pretty good. It was a bit of a boring race because the Red Bull were a bit too quick, and behind we had a bit of a gap, but we took the maximum points we could today, and that was the target, so that's great.
Yeah, congratulations on that point for fastest lap. This is a tough race circuit. The pace of this race, I can see you're visibly sweating more than in some Grand Prix. How did it compare to last year?
From last year, it's actually a step better. I don't know why exactly, maybe because I was a bit more on my own, so you have a bit less adrenaline in the car, but all in all, it's definitely one of the most physical racetrack of the season. It's warm, but most of all, I think it's more for the neck. There are so many high speed and so very, very difficult, but also very, very fun to drive.
Excellent. Well, look, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask about your teammate for this weekend. He was voted driver of the day. Oliver Behrman brought points home. How impressed have you been with him getting thrown in the deep end?
I mean, he completely deserves it. He's done an incredible job already from FP3. He was straight on the pace in qualifying. He did a great job and missed Q3 by so little. And I think today he's been incredible. I mean, 7th in your first race in Formula 1, having done only FP3 in a new car is just hugely impressive. So I'm sure he's extremely proud, but everybody has noticed how talented he is, and I guess it's just a matter of time before he comes here in Formula 1.
Okay, Charles, enjoy the podium.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now we have Checo Perez, the winner here last year, second this time, but I have the impression this was a stronger race this weekend than in Bahrain. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we definitely made some good progress. I think it was a shame that we just qualified out of the front row because we had a great start. Unfortunately, Charles really kept it together and we couldn't get through. It was a nice fight then later on. And then it was quite a compromised race, I'll say, with the safety car there so early. It was a very long stint on the hard. And it was tricky at times, especially in the beginning. We had no warm-up at all. We were sliding a lot. It took us a long time to get through Lewis and Lando, but I think overall it's a great day for the team. You know, very different track to Bahrain, and we keep being strong. So yeah, we just have to keep this momentum going. I think we've taken a step forward from Bahrain. We've done good improvements from yesterday, so we still have some bits to tidy up, and our time will come.
You mentioned there about the safety car. We just saw on the screen behind you, very tight with Fernando and the Aston. That's always going to be the case in those sort of double stacking situations.
Yeah, it was a shame that we got that penalty. Luckily, it didn't hurt our race. But I think in this scenario, you know, I was quite close to Max, and everyone was coming in at the same time. We just need a wider pit lane.
Yeah, okay, well, enjoy that podium. Congratulations on second place. And now for our winner, Max, your 56th victory in Formula 1 and your first century of podiums. You must be feeling good.
Yeah, I think overall, of course, a fantastic weekend for the whole team, but also for myself. I felt really good with the car. And yeah, also basically it was the same in the race. Of course, the last stint was a bit longer than we would have liked, but with the safety car, you had to go for it. So the last few laps also with those back markers, with the cold tires, was a little bit slippery, but we had good pace all around. We could manage it quite well with the gap also. So yeah, overall, very, very pleased.
You mentioned yesterday in qualifying the car was on rails. Sounds like it was a bit more challenging on this circuit, especially with the long stint.
Yeah, exactly. I think ideally you don't want to do such a long stint on that tire, but we had to. And that, of course, around here with all these high-speed corners, if the tire falls out of the window a little bit, it makes it all a bit more tricky.
We heard from Charles mentioning that this is a tough one on the neck. Do you have any feeling of that when you were doing your Grand Prix?
Yeah, this is always, early in the season as well, anti-clockwise, a lot of Gs constantly throughout the whole lap. So it's definitely always one of the more physical ones.
Okay, well, Max, congratulations on your second victory of the year.
Thank you.
2 wins from 2 for Max Verstappen and a century of podiums in Formula One after that brilliant, brilliant moment. Crossing the line, that is so nice to see. Lewis Hamilton congratulating Oliver Bearman, George Russell, saying welcome to the club. And it is a landmark day for Brits there. The last time 4 British drivers scored points in the same race, 1968. Cool down room time.
You were matching. But how did you go? Did you charge everything?
No, I didn't. I just went sock 1 for the last lap. I mean, sock 1, push. Yeah, exactly. and yeah, no, but I did not recharge to do it. Just I had a DRS from turn 17. You leave the space.
I always leave space. That was nice. We was early, yeah, the safety car. Yeah.
The what?
Like the safety car, so the last stint was quite long.
I was worried. I was really worried about the
twist. We'll never know. We'll never know what Charles was worried about. So the last time 4 British drivers finished in the top 10, regardless of point system, it was Eddie Irvine, Johnny Herbert, Jenson Button, and David Coulthard back in Japan in 2000. So there you go. Stats that you never knew you needed to hear. And today it was the name of Russell, Bearman, Norris and Hamilton, but there's no doubting who's up top. Once again, Max Verstappen, a century of podiums, Sergio Perez backing up his teammate in a way that he struggled to do in the latter part of 2023. He hadn't been finding himself as high as the top 2. You had to go all the way back to Monza, if you counted back. And that took place in Bahrain, and it's taken place again in Saudi.
Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the podium for the Formula 1 STC Saudi.
Well, it's time to start the celebrations then. Great that we've got some of the Red Bull team in the balcony above as well. So much effort goes in to creating and operating these magnificent machines. It's a good Grand Prix Saturday for Charles Leclerc, who claims another podium in Formula One. He's 31st to be exact. Two second places in a row for Sergio Perez, and 37 podiums in Formula One now reads his total. But there's no stopping Verstappen at the moment. 100 podiums in his Formula One career, and 56 of them have been on the top step. You know what's coming next, anthem-wise. the Dutch and Austrian national anthems as Helmut Marko looks on. Some consternation after his comments in the media last night to Austrian and German broadcasters. But on track, Max Verstappen continues to lift the biggest trophy. By the time that we get to the checkered flag, he'll collect another gold medal as well from the FIA.
Well done to Max Verstappen.
Well, next time out, he's got an opportunity to equal the all-time record for consecutive Grand Prix victories, also set by him. And this is a significant moment for the Red Bull team. They are 4th all-time now in terms of wins. They move past the great Williams team. They are alone in 4th place after that victory, and that is hugely impressive stuff for them. 115 wins now in Formula One. Sergio Perez, he's regrouped well after a really tough 2023. He's bounced back and followed his teammate home on a couple of occasions. And Charles Leclerc picked his battles well. A little bit of encouragement in the post-race interview with DC as well, knowing that, okay, there's a bit of pace in the car. He will believe that he can end his winless drought that goes all the way back to 22, but it's still the Red Bulls, the stars of the show, on a day that they went past the great Williams name, 4th all-time in Formula One, behind Mercedes, behind McLaren, and behind Ferrari. They have earned their place there. And it's another 1-2 for the team, as Max Verstappen celebrates once again. He's taken victory here in Jeddah by 13 seconds from his teammate, and Charles Leclerc completing the podium. It's a high speed around this circuit. It was a quick race pace, and once again, fireworks on track, fireworks off track, but Max eventually climbing to the top step of the podium, as he has done in every race since Singapore last year. Qualifying is key for Ferrari if they're trying to change that tune. Next time out, we will be racing at the magnificent Albert Park, one of our favourite stops on the Formula One calendar. And we'll see whether McLaren, whether Mercedes, whether Ferrari can offer anything by way of a rebuttal to the Red Bull Express, Joby.
Indeed, they're still some way back at the moment, but clean races from the rivals. A low degradation circuit should have suited them a little bit more. Leclerc, fastest lap, but not able to actually get in that fight really today.
Well, as the fireworks illuminate the Red Sea in the background, let's look at the Drivers' Championship. Max Verstappen on 51 points, then it's Perez on 36, up to 3rd goes Charles Leclerc, up to 4th goes George Russell, climbing 3 places, Oscar Piastri to 5th, and then it's Sainz, who didn't take part today, but was in the Ferrari garage after that operation, Alonso, then Norris, Hamilton, and Oliver Behrman into the top 10 of the Drivers' Championship. A big result for Nico Hülkenberg and Haas. Lance Stroll scoring last week but finding the wall today, and Albon climbing places, but no points for everyone else on that list. Zhou Guanyu, Kevin Magnussen, Daniel Ricciardo, Esteban Ocon, Yuki Tsunoda, Logan Sargent, and Valtteri Bottas. Pierre Gasly finding himself last on the 3rd page as a result of that failure today. In the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull have a tidy gap already. It is Ferrari in 2nd place, McLaren climb above Mercedes to 3rd, Aston Martin are in 5th place, and you can see how significant that point could be for Haas. They're above Williams, Sauber, Honda's RB team, and Alpine currently 10th. Well, my thanks to David Coulthard. My thanks to Jolyon Palmer for their insights in commentary. We had a few contentious penalties along the way, but Max Verstappen scoring a century of podiums in Formula One as he took the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We'll see you when Formula One returns.